Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen, and today we are doing Kiksekage. That's right, Kiksekage. I know you've been waiting all year for this. Well, this is a recipe that, I've been eating this since I was a kid. My mom used to make this all the time, but Mom forgot the recipe in her old age, so I have been researching this and trying to come up with the best that I remember of what it was like to have Kiksekage, or chocolate biscuit cake, as it were. I'm using 85% chocolate, and I haven't edited this. This is the first time I've ever made it. I've done some editing, but I didn't edit out my mistakes. So you'll see as I go through some of the faux pas that I make. Now, I temper the chocolate. You don't have to. You can simply just use melted chocolate to make this, but I highly recommend that you temper it. It's a couple extra steps at the beginning, but it's well worth it. It's much easier to work with, and it gives the chocolate a really nice sheen. Anyway, these are the crackers that I use. Italian breakfast crackers, vanilla crackers. You can use any type of other type of cracker similar to those that you want. You don't have to use Italian breakfast crackers, but I did because it's, again, the thing that closest resembles this Danish recipe. So I hope you enjoy it, and if you have any questions, which on this one I'm sure you do, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. So let's get in there and get going. So let's get started. We got my whisk, as you can see, my handheld whisk. I've got some Grand Marnier for a little added flavor. My 4 egg yolks. I got 350 grams of 85% dark chocolate, 150 grams of butter, salted, and 150 grams of icing sugar, and of course my vanilla cakes or crackers. And I've got a pan wrapped in saran, and that's it for now. So this is basically what all the components of it. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to start with is tempering the chocolate. This chocolate that I have had been sitting out in the heat. You can see it's called chocolate bloom. What happens when it gets that discoloration, and we're going to temper that and get rid of that. The way to start that, first of all, is to set up your pot. I'm going to heat this water, and then I've got a bowl which I have put over top that fits perfectly. Does not touch the bottom. Let's see what I said here. Does not touch the bottom, no. So you want to make sure it doesn't touch the bottom, and you don't want any water in the bowl. That's really important as well. So once this heats up a little bit, I'm going to add some chocolate to it, and I'll show you how. All right, so I've heated the water up, and I'm going to place my bowl in here. It's not touching. Some moisture, but that's not touching. There we go. So now I'm going to take my chocolate, and I'm going to hold back about a third of it, maybe that much, which I'm going to use for what they call seeding. So you can see it's already starting to melt. Now the temperature, I don't want the temperature to get over, definitely not over 120, but around 115 will be great. And I'll get back to you once this is melted, and I've got my instant read thermometer, and I'll tell you what the temperature is when we get there. Okay. Okay, so I have melted all of the chocolate. There are no lumps left. And let's check the temp here. So we're at 115 degrees, which is actually 116, which is perfect. I'm going to turn the heat off now. And now I'm going to seed the chocolate, which will stop it from cooking. And I'm going to move this over to another spot here so I can show you how to stir this. All right, so I've taken it off the heat, and I'm going to start to turn this. And this is going to take a while. This could take about 5 minutes or so, maybe longer. So I'm not going to bore you with having to wait, but once this is all done, we'll come back. All right, so I should explain that part of this tempering process is there are these fatty acid crystals. And once you heat them and then cool them and add the other chocolate, you can see there's still lumps in it. what it does is it helps them to bind. And ultimately, it makes it a lot easier to work with. So, I have to keep stirring. You gotta check the bottom. I thought it was all done, but it isn't. So you have to have a little bit of patience here, making sure you get it all. It's almost done though. And then I'm gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to work with my eggs and my butter and my Grand Marnier. So stay tuned. Okay, duh. I was so focused on getting the tempering done that I forgot one of the most important ingredients, which is melted butter. So I've got the melted butter in here, and I'm now going to take the tempered chocolate and pour that straight into the butter. Let's see how this works to form part of the ganache, if you will. And the butter was at over 100 degrees, just. So I'm losing a little bit of the chocolate here, but not much. Just bear with me. Okay. And now I'm going to blend the chocolate and the butter together. And you can see that's incorporating quite nicely. Very nicely, as a matter of fact. I'm going to stir this just a bit longer, and I am now going to let this cool. Okay? For about, as I said before, for about 15 minutes. But this time it's going to have butter in it. Stay tuned. While the chocolate is cooling, we're about, I'd say, just under 5 minutes away from that being ready. I'm going to mix the eggs. Now these are not pasteurized. You could pasteurize them if you want to. There's always that risk. I'll tell you right now, but I've never had it in all my life, and I've eaten raw egg yolks all the time. So, and never been an issue. Adding the icing sugar. And so this is not a deep enough bowl, as you can tell. So hold on, I'm gonna have to find some. All right, let's try this again. Okay, that's kind of working. So this is the time if you want to add liqueur. I'm adding about 10 centiliters or 10 milliliters of Grand Marnier. And now I can add some more of the sugar. And now we've got the consistency. I'm just going to take some of the sugar off the sides. Bet you've never seen that in any video. All right, so being left-handed, this is going to be a little awkward, but I'm going to now start to incorporate the chocolate into the egg mixture with butter, or the sugar. just want to get the last remnants of the chocolate, so bear with me. And there we have it. This is going to set up quite nicely, believe it or not. Let's have a look at the consistency here. Make sure you don't add any water to it, because water is the enemy of chocolate. And that's perfect. Okay, now we'll get to making the cake itself. Alrighty, so let's get going. So I've taken this chocolate and we are going to layer the bottom just a little bit, and you can see I put cellophane across it there. So this is actually going to be the top of the cake, so you want to make sure that all of the you want to make sure that all of the corners are covered and fairly even. And I need a little bit more. Yeah, I'm such an artist, aren't I? Not. But at the end of the day, when you see this, you'll go, wow, that looks pretty cool. All right, so that's the first stage. Now, let's take the crackers. These beautiful little Italian vanilla wafers. And set them in like this. And then once these are in, I'm going to continue with a little bit more chocolate on top and continue to layer. I'll see you in a bit. All right, so I've put one layer of crackers in, and I'm now going to do another one, same way as before, but as it gets a little wider, I'll be using more than 2 per layer. You'll see why. Push these out to the edges like that, but it still fits pretty good. So I'm just going to keep doing that. Alrighty then, so after doing the layers, I'm now going to take the cellophane. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to give this a good couple of stamps like this to get the chocolate to settle, so we don't have any pockets, hopefully. And I'm going to cover the top, the bottom. It looks like the top now, but it's going to be the bottom. And I'm going to press this fairly firmly, flat. And this goes into the fridge overnight. And let's take a look and see what it looks like afterwards. Okay? See you tomorrow. Okay, So let's take a look at this. Take the saran off, which is why it came out of the pan so easy. Now if I can just keep it from getting stuck in the chocolate, we'll be away to the races. But it looks like it's coming off quite well, actually. Next time I do this, I would also be more careful in terms of how I fold the saran on the top, or the bottom as it were, before I put it in the fridge, just to make this a little bit cleaner. But it's working. And let's see what happens when we come around. Oh yeah, not a problem. So, there we go. Look at that sheen. That's because we tempered the chocolate. Now, you don't have to do this with tempering if you don't want to. You could skip that first step if you wanted to. But you can see the difference. Like, this has got this beautiful sheen like it came from a professional chocolatier. Whereas if you don't temper it, it's going to have sort of a dull look to it. Now, it's pretty cold still. You can see I didn't get the chocolate on the edges, as I should have, but I will next time. Let's take a cut here. But I'm not sure whether this is going to work when it's right out of the fridge. Well, kinda did, but there's a bit of crumbling there, which obviously we don't want if we can help it. But I think there's a way to solve that, and that would be more chocolate. So I will adjust for a bigger recipe with 5 layers instead of 4, or is it 3? 4, yeah, I'll go to 5. And let's try one more slice while it's cold and see if that works. But I have a funny feeling it's probably going to be worse because it's further in. So you got to be patient, I think. And yeah, combination of a few things. Not enough chocolate in between the wafers. And I'm showing you this. Thank you. There we go. I'm showing you this because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I just made. So more chocolate, wafers with more chocolate in between them will help it. And don't cut it right away when it comes out of the fridge. Leave it for about 30 minutes, which is what I'm going to do. And after 30, you can come back. I'm going to try it again, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I've let this rest out of the fridge for about half an hour, and I'm going to see if that makes any difference cutting it, or whether I still have to use more chocolate. Oh, there you go. Although I missed a chunk here, but obviously you have to let it rest out of the fridge for half an hour before cutting. And then it cuts beautifully. Look at that. Okay, kids, so that's the way to do it. I hope you enjoyed this one. As I said, this is the first time I made it, and I thought rather than edit the hell out of it and make it look pretty, I'm just going to show you exactly what went right and what went wrong. So I hope this helps. And if you like what you see, please subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thanks very much for your support. Bye.